As you can see on the scans, the anomaly is localized here. The machine's precision is unparalleled, but the next steps are critical.
Imagine living your life with someone else always there, an invisible person who shares your thoughts, your body, and even makes decisions for you. Not a friend, not a partner, but a twin brother that no one else can see. This isn't a plot from a horror movie. It's the real, documented story of a man known as B.A., who lived for over 30 years believing he was accompanied by a ghost twin. This extraordinary case baffled psychologists and neurologists for decades, and to this day, it pushes the boundaries of what we understand about the human mind, consciousness, and the very concept of self. B.A.'s story begins in a way that's not so unusual. He was an ordinary man, living an ordinary life, but from a young age, he had a secret. He firmly believed he had a twin brother, a constant companion that only he could perceive. This wasn't just an imaginary friend, it was a deeply ingrained part of his identity. He called this twin his other self. For B.A., this twin wasn't a passive observer, he was an active participant in his life. B.A. would often explain his actions by saying, "My brother did it," or "My brother made me do it." If he made a mistake, it was his twin's fault. If he had a sudden impulse, it was his twin's desire. This invisible entity had his own personality, his own thoughts, and his own will. B.A. essentially felt like he was sharing his body with another person, a co-pilot who sometimes grabbed the controls without permission. You might be thinking, this sounds like multiple personality disorder, now known as dissociative identity disorder, or DID, and that's exactly what many psychologists initially thought. DID is a complex condition often linked to severe trauma, where an individual develops distinct identities or alters. These alters can have different names, ages, and memories. On the surface, B.A.'s case seemed to fit this pattern. He had a distinct other that seemed to take control. But here's where the story takes a fascinating turn. When doctors and psychologists began to study B.A. more closely, they found some key differences that set him apart from typical DID cases. For one, B.A. didn't experience the memory gaps or lost time that are hallmarks of DID. When his twin was in control, B.A. was still fully aware of what was happening. He was a conscious passenger, watching his own body perform actions he felt were not his own. He described it as a feeling of being dispossessed rather than dissociated. Furthermore, his relationship with his twin was unique. It wasn't antagonistic, like some alders and DID can be. It was more like a lifelong, complicated sibling rivalry. He knew his twin was there always. There was no switching between personalities. It was a constant coexistence. This led researchers to question the initial diagnosis. If it wasn't classic DID, what was it? The investigation into B.A.'s mind led scientists down a rabbit hole of neurology and brain science. They started to wonder if the answer wasn't just in his psychology, but in the physical structure of his brain. Could there be a neurological explanation for feeling like you have an invisible twin? The team of researchers, led by a prominent Swiss neurologist, decided to use advanced brain imaging techniques like fMRI to see what was happening inside B.A.'s head when he felt his twin's presence. What they found was astonishing. They discovered that when B.A. was asked to imagine his twin's perspective or to attribute actions to his twin, specific areas of his brain lit up. The areas that became active were in the temporoparietal junction, or TPG. This part of the brain is crucial for a number of high-level functions. It helps us distinguish ourselves from others, understand other people's intentions and beliefs, and process our sense of physical self in space. It's essentially the brain's hub for telling me from not me. In B.A.'s brain, the activity in the TPG was unusual. It suggested that his brain was struggling to create a single, unified sense of self. Instead, it seemed to be generating two distinct representations of a body and a mind. It was as if his brain's self-blueprint had a glitch, a duplication error that created a permanent phantom copy. This led to a groundbreaking theory. B.A.'s condition wasn't purely psychological. It was a neuropsychological phenomenon, a glitch in the bodily self. His brain was literally wired in a way that made him perceive a second person intimately connected to him. This condition was so unique that scientists had to give it a new name. They called it a delusion of a doppelganger or a co-presence. B.A. wasn't just imagining his twin, his brain was actively constructing the experience of his twin. This discovery has profound implications. It suggests that our sense of being a single, unified self is not a given. It's a complex process that the brain has to work at constantly. And sometimes that process can go awry. B.A.'s case shows that the feeling of I is a fragile construction of our neural circuits. If those circuits are disrupted, our very sense of identity can fracture or in his case duplicate. Think about phantom limb syndrome, where an amputee can still feel their missing limb, sometimes even feel pain in it. This happens because the brain's map of the body is still intact. B.A.'s case is like a phantom twin syndrome. His brain created a complete map of another person, a twin, and that map was so convincing that it became his reality. The story of B.A. doesn't have a simple, clean ending. Doctors were able to help him manage his life better, but they couldn't just turn off his twin. How do you cure a condition that is woven into the very fabric of someone's brain and identity? For over 30 years, this twin was a part of him. Removing the twin would be like removing a part of himself. B.A.'s life challenges are fundamental assumptions about what it means to be a person. Are we just our brains? Is our sense of self just an illusion created by electrical impulses? B.A. lived on the border between self and other, in a world where I and he are constantly blurred. His case is a powerful reminder that the human mind is the most complex and mysterious frontier we have yet to explore. Scientists still can't fully explain every aspect of his experience. He remains a puzzle that continues to inspire research into consciousness, identity, and the intricate dance between the mind and the brain. His story is not just a medical curiosity, it's a deeply human one. It's about how we create our reality, how we define ourselves, and how fragile that definition can be. The man who lived with a ghost twin for 30 years forces us to ask a profound question. Who are we really? And what happens when the brain's answer is, we are too? Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive into one of psychology's most fascinating cases. If you found this story as mind-bending as I did, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more explorations into the mysteries of the human mind. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. See you in the next video.